Elon Musk left you a message. But it's disappearing soon. You might not believe this. In fact, right now, you're probably thinking it's just another wild video, another wild story, but stay right here with me, because this isn't like anything you've ever seen. Elon Musk, a man who turns wild ideas into reality, the kind of person who makes the impossible real, left a message. Not just any message. He left you a message. And there's a catch, it's disappearing, tick, 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 second by second, fading out of reach. If you blink, you really might miss this. And if you're the kind of person who usually clicks away, scrolls past, thinks, maybe later, I dare you, just for these few minutes, to stay with me. Pause everything else, because this moment might be the only one that matters today. Strange, right? Why would the world's boldest mind leave you a message? Why not someone else? Why not the obvious people, politicians, tech giants, billionaires? Why did his words come to you? There's a reason, and it's not what you think. The whole world is screaming for your attention, but this is different. It's not an ad. It's not a brand. It's not another voice shouting into the digital void. This feels almost like destiny, like a signal sent just to your frequency. You feel that shimmer, don't you? Take a breath, really, just stop for a second, because what you're about to hear might change the way you look at your own life, at what's possible for you, from this day forward. The clock is ticking. And the truth is, sometimes, life only knocks once. Not because it wants to scare you. Not because it's teasing. But because moments don't wait for you to be ready. Opportunity doesn't care if you're prepared, if you've planned, if you've mapped it out on your calendar. It just appears. Out of the ether. Out of nowhere. Like a notification from someone you never expected. That's this moment. Right now. You're on the edge of something bigger, and if you're tuned in, even if it's just for a few minutes, you might see exactly why things haven't worked out, why your story hasn't unfolded the way you thought it would, and more importantly, what might actually be possible for you, if you're willing to pay attention. So here's how this happened. Somewhere in the chaos of your notifications, likes, swipes, and scrolling, something in you, something deeper than habit, something that's been awake since you were a child, picked up a signal. That low, persistent hunch that maybe, just maybe, you're not meant for ordinary. Maybe you're here to do things a bit differently. Maybe you feel like you've been waiting for something, some moment that proves you were right to hold on to your crazy, impossible dream. The one you almost let go of. But you didn't. That's why you're here. That's why this message found you, not your neighbor, not your sibling, not some influencer with 1 million followers, but you. Now, let's talk about Elon. Because you know his story, even if you don't know all the details. He's that rare kind of human who gets laughed at, doubted, called crazy, in every language, on every channel. People said the same about you, sometimes, didn't they? You have ideas. Outrageous ideas. Not always perfect, not always neat and pretty, but undeniably yours. And the world keeps trying to grind that out of you, keeps hoping you'll just fit in, go back to the safe lane, play by the old rules. But you stayed weird. You stayed curious. And whether you've shown the world your spark, or you've hidden it, you kept it alive. And that's why you're hearing this right now. Because what if that twisty, restless feeling you get, even late at night when the world's asleep, was right all along? What if it's not a weakness, not something to be medicated or managed, but a sign you're tuned into something others never hear? Pause for a moment, let that simmer. This message is for you, not for who you used to be, not for the person other people see, not for the version of yourself that's satisfied with almost, but for the real you. The restless you. The one who's too stubborn to quit, even when you said you would. Because that's who history remembers, the stubborn ones. The ones who got tired, got burnt out, made mistakes worth regretting, but stood back up again, took another swing, and kept listening for the next signal. Sometimes, signals don't come as lightning bolts. Sometimes, they whisper. That's what Elon knew. He didn't become the most unpredictable mind in tech because he followed instructions. He didn't start with money, privilege, or smooth pathways. He started with rejection, frustration, broken things. He started with curiosity and a willingness to try when everybody else played safe. Failures stacked higher than most people's dreams. But you see, he listened to messages that other people ignored, not just from the world, but from his own gut. Does that sound familiar to you? It should. Because you're here, still listening, still resisting the urge to scroll away. That means you're not like most people. Most people gave up on their big moments long ago. Most people would have already clicked out, distracted by the next piece of noise. But you're still here. That's not an accident. That's not a coincidence. That's the universe filtering the noise, looking for someone with the right frequency, someone who hasn't turned down the volume on themselves. So now you're probably wondering, what's in the message? Is it a secret? A code? Some get-rich formula, some trick, some hack? Maybe it's something no one has ever told you, or maybe it's so obvious you've been missing it while looking for something more complicated. Here's the truth. The message is not a lottery ticket, a shortcut, a magic door. The message is simpler, and heavier, than that. The message is a mirror. A mirror held up to you, right now, when nobody else can see. Because, honestly, the answer is always the same: are you willing to act when nobody is watching? Are you willing to answer the call when it's quietly buzzing, instead of screaming at you? Most people are waiting for certainty, for applause, for 10,000 reasons why it makes sense. But the ones who change everything, the ones who shape the future, act before all the details are in place. They move, even when it's terrifying, even when now feels like the absolute worst time, especially then. That's the message. It's about you. Not Elon Musk. Not about Mars. Not about rockets. About what happens when you choose not to wait anymore. Let that echo. Imagine, just for a second, that every story you admire, every breakthrough that ever shifted history, started in a moment like this, quiet, private, uncertain. A crossroads that looked a lot like your life right now. Maybe the details are different, different eras, different clothes, different technologies, but the electricity in the air? That's exactly the same. Can you feel it? The universe doesn't light up signs for us. Opportunity is almost never wrapped up like a cheap birthday present. Most of the time, it whispers. A funny little urge. A pulse in your chest. Something in you that refuses, absolutely refuses, to let go of possibility. That's why this message is here now, not because you planned for it, not because it fits into your schedule, but because deep down you crave something bigger than the routine. Pause for a breath. Let's face it. You know what it's like to almost try. Almost say something brave. Almost send that message. Almost start that project. Almost tell the world who you really are. But almost is a ghost. It lingers, then it disappears, and all you're left with is a shadow of what could have been. The people who break through, Elon included, aren't fearless. They just stop waiting for the world to tell them it's okay. They act, even when now feels totally wrong. That's uncomfortable. That's also where things start to change. Think back. How many times have you hesitated at the door, maybe not a real door, but a metaphorical one? An invitation. A risk. The gut feeling that you should do the thing that scares you? And maybe you backed away. Maybe you said, later. After I feel ready. Someday, when I have the answers. But let's be honest. The world is like an ocean of almost. Most people, if we're being totally real, they drown in it. They tread water their entire lives, thinking someday will come, but really, they're counting backward from the moment courage slips away. That's not what you want. It's not what you're here for. That's not what this message is meant to remind you. Take a second and look around your own timeline. The routines. The familiar patterns. Half-remembered dreams squeezed into maybe next year. What if you could zoom out, even for a moment? What if you could see yourself the way you see people you admire, raw potential, weird ideas, sparks of possibility? Would you see how much you've already survived just to get to today? Would you see how all your logic and your fear and your overthinking never stopped that deep, calling urge to do more, be more, risk more? Feels a little bit exposing, right? That's good. Because most of the world works overtime to numb out. Distract. Pretend none of this matters, until it's too late. Until the opportunity really has vanished. But if you're still here, following along, there's a reason. You're ready to actually listen. Let's talk, honestly, about fear. Elon gets called crazy. You've heard this, by everyone from Wall Street to Twitter trolls. But he leans into it. Every breakthrough, every time he launches a rocket, bets it all, or risks looking foolish, he's exposing himself to the world's favorite sport, criticism. And he does it anyway. He stares down the fear, and steps into the unknown. Not recklessly. Not because he's fearless. Because the vision, the possibility, matters more. You have your own version of that fear, right? The fear of wasting your shot. The fear of risking and losing. The fear of being left behind if you step outside the lines. But think deeply. What's on the other side of that fear? If you said yes to yourself, yes to the idea, the risk, the new plan, what's the worst that happens? What if the best thing that could ever happen to you is just one yes away? And the only thing standing between you and that reality is the decision to not look away, not scroll past, not wait for better timing. Pause. Maybe your dream isn't building the next Tesla or launching rockets to Mars. That's not the point. Maybe your dream is smaller, quieter, more personal, and in some ways, that can feel even scarier. Because when it's close to your heart, it matters more. There's no audience. No cheering. Just you and the decision only you can make. That's the real opportunity, the real disappearing message. The chance to say yes to yourself, even when no one else is watching, or worse, when they might be judging. Here's where most people tune out. They tell themselves they'll do something great, when they feel ready. They'll take the leap, when the fear goes away. But the world doesn't work like that. Fear never leaves, doubt never vanishes, timing never lines up perfectly. The only people who ever see what's possible are the ones who move while they're afraid. That's not just Elon's secret, that's every person who's ever changed their life, no matter how quietly. Let that land. What if, this time, your story pivots not because of luck, genetics, or privilege, but simply because you were willing to trust the whisper, not the shout? Because you were willing to do the thing scared? Because you acted while the door was open, for this one fading moment? You don't have to have a public mission, or billions in the bank, or headlines to prove your worth. You just have to start. Pause. Start with one small, terrifying step. Start with the idea you've hidden, the talent you barely believe in, the voice inside you that refuses to be quieted by the normal world. Because every game changer, every disruptor, had a moment just like this, sitting alone, wondering, is this feeling real? Or am I just fooling myself? Reach back in your memory. All the times the world told you to be realistic, to lower your expectations, to settle in. Every time you swallowed the need to be extraordinary, what happened? The world stayed the same. Your heart shrank a little. The dream dimmed, but it never went out. And here's the strange thing, dreams, unlike opportunities, don't disappear. They wait. But opportunities, moments to act, those vanish in a blink. So, you have a choice. This message is still here, pulsing in your ears, a little fragile, but alive. And the reason you're hearing it right now, not 10 years from now, not someday, but right now, is because you're ready, even if your brain disagrees. And here's the wildest part. The world is full of people who almost made the leap. Who almost pressed send. Who almost made the call, wrote the book, started the business, believed in themselves. Almost doesn't change anything. Only action does. Pause. Listen, if you're still with me, if you haven't scrolled away, if you feel even a flicker of that old stubbornness, that, maybe, just maybe, this is for me, then prove it. To yourself, not to me, not to Musk, not even to the universe. Just to you. Because the next second, the next breath, you could close this window, go back to the noise and distraction, let the message disappear, like every other close call in your past. Or, you could stay. You could lean in. You could find out what someone like you, someone who refuses to give up, might do if you gave yourself a damn chance. The disappearing message is about to get real. Here's the twist. If the message is disappearing, then every second you linger here, every word you let reach you, is you proving, once again, that you're not most people. How many times in your whole story have you ever stayed with something until the very end? Not because you had to, but because something in your bones refused to give up, to turn the page, to leave the theater before the film's done, to walk out just as the best part's about to start? That's rare. You see, most of the world is in a hurry, but never really going anywhere. Rushing from notification to notification, half glancing, half scrolling, always starving for the next thrill, but never letting anything stick. That's why the secret isn't found in the scroll, it's found in the pause. In the breath. In letting something reach you, slow, raw, unfiltered. Pause. If this feels different, it's because you're allowing yourself to actually feel. That makes you an exception. In this moment, right now, pause everything else and imagine, what if all the times you felt out of place, all the nights you questioned your path, were the setup, not the setback? Sometimes, loneliness is just the sensation that your vision is bigger than your current surroundings. And when you finally outgrow that box, it feels strange, but also inevitable. Let me ask you something. If Elon Musk, true, unpredictable, 1 in a billion Elon, decided he was just like everyone else, would you even know his name? Would he even have a message to send? Here's where contrast is everything. Most people want guarantees before they leap. Padded stats, polished predictions, crystal clear outcomes. But the rare few, the ones history remembers, even if only in their own small way, choose to move before certainty. They step forward, sometimes alone, sometimes shaking, almost always misunderstood, and because of that, the world has to catch up to them, not the other way around. Pause. In a world of carbon copies and prefab dreams, the authentic, the wild, the original, it all stands out. Maybe you've been told that your ideas are too much, your risks are too weird, that you don't fit. Good. Fitting in never changed anything worth remembering. Fitting in never launched a rocket, built a revolution, sparked a movement. The ones who fit in are the ones who disappear. The ones who dare, who keep daring, every ordinary day, they're the ones who get messages like this. Let's bring it close. Right now, there's an unopened message, flickering just for you. It's not loud. The universe doesn't shout. It's a whisper. It's a gentle nudge in this flood of noise, something telling you, don't let this pass by. Not this time, think on it. You've scrolled past 1,000,000 stories, watched 1,000 half-finished videos, tried and failed and tried again. What's kept you coming back? It's not curiosity about the world. It's hunger for your own expansion. For this sense that you are meant to matter. Let that sink in for a second, real slow. Imagine yourself 1, 5, 10 years from now, looking back at today. Do you wish you would have said yes? Is the leap really as risky as the regret of letting it pass? The wall between almost and everything is thinner than you think. But it can only be crossed from one side. Not tomorrow, not when you get some external sign, not when the world says it's okay, only from this side, this second, this decision to act before the message disappears. Pause. Maybe you're wondering, what if I fail? Real talk, you will fail. Not once. Not twice. Many, many times. That's the price of admission for anyone who wants more than the average. But that failure? That's compost for greatness. Let yourself imagine, every time Elon got it wrong, every misfire, every rocket that exploded, every year Tesla almost collapsed, those moments, those failures, are why he's relevant at all. The world doesn't remember people who never risked. The world forgets the cautious. The world forgets the safe. But people who failed, kept going, came back swinging, they get a message when it matters most. That's you, right now. You know what else is wild? Sometimes, the thing you're most afraid to chase is the thing that makes your heart race for a reason. It's your intuition, screaming against the numbing script of your life. It wants you to jump, to shock yourself back to living, not just surviving. Let's slow down here. Breathe in. Breathe out. This is the message you've been dodging in your own mind. That's why you keep getting reminders. Why certain stories never leave you. Why, no matter how much you try to settle, there's always this itch to begin again, even on your hardest days. You've told yourself you'll start when things calm down. News flash, they don't. Life only gets messier. The only quiet worth having is the quiet inside you, when you finally say, enough waiting, enough pretending, enough hiding. I'm moving now, not tomorrow, not next year, now, while the message still flickers. Pause. Let's go deeper. You are not a random collection of moments and habits. You are a story still writing itself. Right now, you decide whether this chapter ends in almost or in action. That's the real difference between you and everyone else. You decide how the next act unfolds. You decide if the message disappears unopened, or if you grab it and make it your own. Are you starting to see the truth? This isn't about Elon Musk. It isn't about Mars or electric cars. It's about you being stubborn enough, alive enough, wild enough to take your own leap of faith. Everyone has an almost. Not everyone answers their call. This, the tingling you feel, the restlessness in your chest. That's not anxiety. That's aliveness. That's your soul remembering its reason for existing. Don't anesthetize it. Don't explain it away. Lean in. Let everything else fade for now. In all the universe, all the infinite odds, you're here, right here, listening to this disappearing message. That's not nothing. That's your chance. Most people let it slip away. The question is, will you? Here's the raw truth most content never tells you. Most people will never even remember something like this. In an hour, a day, a week, it'll be another blip in their history of almosts. But if you really let yourself listen, really, then something changes. The moment you stop thinking of this as just background noise and let it be your call, everything inside you starts to lean forward. So, take a breath and ask, what if this is actually your permission slip? The message only you were ever supposed to receive. Not a cryptic riddle, not a silly viral headline, not a wishful trick, but the real, grown-up signal your whole life has been arranging for you. The reason it feels like everything in the universe closed ranks, filtered the static, and led you to this exact screen, right now, is because finally, you're ready. You aren't half asleep, coasting through another endless feed. You're tuned in. Every sentence, every pause, every pulse of your heart is lining up right now. Because you know, deep in your core, the only thing separating your current life from the one you crave is not luck, is not confidence, is not even timing. It's action. That short burst of courage nobody will see, nobody will celebrate, nobody will reward, yet it moves mountains. Let's take inventory here. What's your mountain? Is it a business? Is it your voice? Is it loving deeper, risking more pride, reclaiming your body or your mind or your hope? Maybe it's something nobody else would even understand. That's fine. In fact, that's perfect. Because the one thing every transformation demands is authenticity, moving when it's true, not when it's easy or logical. Now, bring into focus the scariest thing on your to-do list. That email. That phone call. That sketch, that launch, that hello, that goodbye. See it. Name it. Honestly look at it, there, in your mind, and realize, waiting has never made it easier. Time has never handed you more courage. The only thing time does is let the message flicker, then fade. What has waiting actually gotten you? Just more of what you already have. Let's not pretend, changing your life isn't comfortable. You'll sweat. You'll lose some sleep. You'll risk disappointment and, yes, embarrassment. You'll face 100 micro moments when you want to turn back, when you crave comfort, when voices from the outside and inside tell you, maybe you should just let this one go. But if that worked, you wouldn't still be listening, you wouldn't still be drawn to these words, hoping for some spark. Here's the real revelation, the actual difference between those who scroll away and those who shift their trajectory forever. It isn't intelligence. It isn't talent. It isn't even grit. It is the small set of people who say yes when everyone else goes quiet. Who say yes the first time the opportunity feels real. Who say yes before all the usual excuses can crowd in. That's agency. That's the muscle you build every time you act without permission. And look, nobody's coming to give you permission. Not even Elon. You've been waiting for a sign, praying for a burning bush moment, scrolling for signals, but this is it. The moment you hear your own voice, loud and clear, telling you not to wait anymore. The message won't repeat. The opportunity won't queue up a safer version. The window is open now. The door is unlocked, one last time. Pause and feel the weight of that. If you could whisper in your own ear, 5 years ago, would you say, wait a bit longer, play it safe, or would you say, do it now, do it scared, let the message in? That's the loneliness of every big decision, nobody can make it for you. Nobody can walk through the door but you. And the mind will try to bargain. It always does. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe when you've learned more, practiced more, fixed all your flaws. But tomorrow is a myth, a fog. The message is never as loud, the door never as open, as right now. Let yourself, really, let that in. What would happen if you acted right now? Right after this message? Not grand gestures, not perfection, just a first move. The tiniest yes to yourself, so the message doesn't fade into almost. Would you feel terror? Excitement? Would you feel finally, for once, alive? That's the secret Elon carried through every phase of doubt. Keep moving, even if you're out of breath, even if you're out of ideas, even if there's no applause. Because the future belongs, always, to those who start before they feel ready. The spark survives in people who do, not those who dream. Now, here's what most people won't do, they won't mark this moment. They won't realize when history is being made. You can. Right now, make this minute the line. The before and after. Decide that the old story, waiting, hesitating, wishing, ends here. Start. Small, scared, still, awkward, it doesn't matter. Just start. Here's the final pause, breathe in, breathe out. The message is fading. The door is almost shut. But you, yes, you, are still here. That means, regardless of what came before, you are precisely the kind of person who is different. Who finishes. Who listens. Who acts. And that, in the end, is the difference between almost and everything. This isn't about Elon Musk. This isn't about Mars. This isn't about genius or chance. It is about you answering the only call that ever mattered, the one you send to yourself, in private, when nobody's watching, and everything's on the line. So, listen to the thundering quiet one more time. Are you going to be the story the world never heard, or the story you're finally willing to live? Will you join billions who let a moment slip, or will you risk everything on a half-beat of faith and discovery? Right now, the message is still here. Right now, the message is yours. The timeline is bending, the opportunity slipping by pixel, second by second, breath by breath. This is your invitation to stop waiting, stop wishing, stop almost and start. Will you answer before it disappears? The last seconds are ticking, and your future is asking for a response. Pause. So what's it going to be?